So the inspiration for this project comes from all of these miniature potion bottles that I have that are just kind of laying around. And I wanted to create something where I could display them. So my first thought was a witch's cabinet or a witch's shelf. And I'm using this random little box that I have as the base to build up everything. This is just random scrap cardboard that I'm using to make basic shelves. I'm kind of just eyeballing the size that I need. And I used hot glue in most of this project when it came to securing the shelves. After initially hot gluing and everything, I went back in with my glue gun and just added a little bit more to the top and bottoms of the shelves to secure them. I didn't really like how the edges were looking, so I made some thin strips of a thinner type of cardboard and I put them on the front. I think it tied it in a little bit better, especially because the cardboard wasn't as flush as I'd like. To give the whole thing a little bit more of a cohesive look, I decided to paper mache it using Mod Podge mixed with black acrylic paint and then just some strips of tissue paper. And doing this type of paper mache technique makes the box feel a lot stiffer and sturdier. The shelves were a lot sturdier because they were made out of kind of a little thinner bit of cardboard, so this just added a little bit extra to it. Because it already had a black kind of base coat from the acrylic and Mod Podge, I decided to just dry brush it with two different shades of brown. I use a dark brown and then a lighter brown that really brings out the interesting texture that the paper mache has left. And now it's time to get to my favorite part, which was filling these shells. I knew I wanted to add a crystal ball, so I took the base of this plastic chess piece and I super glued a clear marble that I actually got from a trinket trade at the Ren Fair, and I made a very adorable crystal ball. For the scrolls, I just used some paper that I had laying around that is normally used to wrap glassware, and I used a glue stick and rolled them around this paintbrush handle to give them the scroll shape. And I dry brushed them with a bit of brown. The twine that you see here is not the twine I ended up using. I switched it out later with a thinner black twine because I just thought that went better with the project. I already had a green potion bottle that was filled with resin, but I wanted to go for the spilled bottle effect. So I ended up taking UV resin and adding some green mica. Now, I made the mistake of adding way too much mica, and I ended up having to mix it very well, and it took twice as long to get it to cure, because with UV resin, the UV light has to be able to penetrate the resin, and if you have too much pigment in it, it will cause it to not cure properly. So this took a lot more than I intended it to be, but I really liked the final result. It really did look like a spilled potion bottle. I ended up adding these tiny beads that made it have kind of a little bit of a bubbling effect. I forgot to film putting these lights in. All I did was poke holes through the back of the cardboard and then feed these fairy lights that I got off Amazon through and secure them with hot glue. I really like the effect that it ended up having in the end. You can't really see it, but this little bottle actually has miniature plastic spider legs in it. So I decided to use my spider leg potion and attach everything using Mod Podge. And this bottle is from an experiment where I tried putting paint in the bottle and then letting it swirl around and drip out, and it really didn't have the desired effect, but covering up the front of it with this larger potion label really made it look better. I put everything on the shelves just to see how I wanted things arranged, and then I went in and started gluing everything down. I used tacky glue to glue everything down. In some parts, I used a little bit more glue than necessary, but tacky glue dries clear, so it didn't really cause that big of a problem. And here is the final result. I honestly really had a great time making this. I've never made a miniature before, and I really enjoyed the process of this and how fun it was thinking of new ways to use things that I already had to make something interesting and unique. If you like this video, support us by liking and subscribing, and hopefully we'll have more miniature builds in the future.